Welcome to Live with Sensei. I'm your host, Jay Haynes, for the Film Sensei YouTube channel. In this 7th episode of our inaugural live streaming season, I am talking tonight about the free version of HitFilm. That's HitFilm Express with no add-ons. Before we begin, I do want to give a few shout-outs, so please leave a comment in the chat room so I can recognize who's in the house tonight. Don't forget, I originally had scheduled to have a roundtable discussion of aspiring filmmakers on this live stream, but due to the response, I have had responses from kids as young as middle school all the way up to adults as old as 24 here in the United States, in Europe, and even from East Africa, just to name a few places. And so I wanted to do it at a time that was going to be a little bit better for everybody involved. So I'm going to reschedule that to probably like a Saturday. It'll be like a Saturday morning here in America. And then in Europe, it'll be in the afternoon. East Africa, it'll be in the evening. And I'll be able to get everybody in. So just to let you know, that will happen, but not tonight. So I'm delighted to have everybody here. Let me see. Hey, Frank is in the house. Good to have you, Frank. I'm glad you're here. Vazio, I'm glad you are here. Oh, old man mini naps are my kind of thing. Thanks for being here, Bill. I appreciate it. Oh, and Frank also. We are all, up here. I understand. Courtney, it's great to have you too. I'm glad you're here. And 4K Productions, great to see you also. Glad you're all here. If you have any questions about HitFilm Express, please leave them in the comments below. Remember, the core HitFilm software is actually a standalone application that requires absolutely no additional software. It runs by itself. It includes an editor as well as a powerful compositor, which includes a unified three-dimensional workspace and over 500 effects. Switching between the editor and your visual effects shots in HitFilm is as easy as just changing tabs on a web browser. And best of all, of course, it's free. And you can create all kinds of amazing videos with all kinds of amazing special effects in them. And it is really, really something. Let's see. I have Angshu Roy. I hope I pronounced that right. Hi, it's great to have you. I'm glad you're here. And Coast to Coast Drones, that's Bill, says hi as well. It's great to have you guys. Like I said, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm actually working on something. If you want to see it, let me flip over here. Oh, let me do this. Hang on. Let me get rid of this stuff so that you can actually see my screen. And I tell you what, I'm going to take something and drop it in here. This is a picture. Whoops. This is put it in the wrong one. Hold on for just a second. This is a picture of my street. Ah, yeah, that's it. And what I've been working on is putting a crater in that street. And this is kind of how I'm doing it. What I'm doing is I'm starting by creating a new plane layer. And I'm going to make that plane three-dimensional. If I take that and just rotate it, say, 90 degrees, then I can, if I just sort of adjust the camera position, I can sort of place that plane where the street is, right? And I might have to adjust the rotation, if the camera's maybe a little bit tilted or something like that. If when I took the thing and I was taking the picture and tilting the camera down, I'm trying to emulate exactly where the camera is here. And so, I want it to be exactly in the right place. Let me go back here. When I get it in the right place, though, then I can add some effects to that plane. I'm going to start by changing the blend mode of that plane to overlay. And then if I find the radial gradient effect and I drop it on there, then you can see that it sort of creates, I have the outside radius and I have the inside radius, okay? And what I might do actually is just take the inside radius down to 0, and then I'll just adjust the outer radius maybe a little bit. So that's the first thing I want to do. Then if I come in and add a fractal noise effect, and drop that on underneath, I can change that from clouds to marble, and it sort of creates a nice little swirling pattern there. And remember, if I did this outer radius, you can see how it sort of is. I can keyframe that, and that's what I'm going to do. Then what I'll do, and let me just make sure I don't have too many other people here. Oh, let me see. I do have, numbered Boar 7YT. You guys are great. I'm making a video effects shot right now. Check this out. Let me come back over. Whoops, I went to the wrong one there. Let me come back over. And my next one I'm going to add will be a parallax effect to that. And I will drop that parallax effect underneath that. And if I put a light directly over it, then it really shows it off nicely. Doesn't that look cool, right? And remember, again, if I go back to my radial gradient, I can sort of keyframe that to open up as if it's like in the street. And then if I want, I can add a little more depth by increasing the inner radius too. So what I might do is I might start at 0, right? And let me just keyframe, or let me do this. Let me move it down a little bit. And then we get to about here, and maybe it's, all the way to there, and I'll just smooth those keyframes. And then the inner radius, maybe I'll just, start it opening up and have it come out a little bit also like that, right? So now you can see, let me make this a little, just give myself some room here. I have a sort of a, creation of this crater in the middle of my street there, right? Which I think looks pretty cool. Now I can make some other adjustments to it. One thing I can do if I want, and this isn't necessary, but I can, is I could add a tint effect to it. And what the tint effect does is basically assigns a color, right, to black and white. So I could say anything that's white, map it to something else, maybe something more bluish, right? Or even, maybe just a little bit brighter. And then I can map black to something else also, right? Like almost a reddish color. But if I do that, it sort of loses. It has to be extremely dark red, almost black, because it starts to lose its parallax there a little bit, right? And now, if you take a look at that, you say, there's a little bit of a crater appearing in there. Now, if I didn't put the tint in, let's say instead I wanted to change the appearance, the colors of this, then I could go ahead and most definitely sort of put a red tint into that, right? Maybe a little bit more red, right? And I could change this, but I can't change it too much because it will affect the parallax effect. But this is something I've been just sort of playing with, and this, again, this is in the HitFilm Express, the free version, which is pretty cool, right? And let's see here. Is there a way to put a flame around a door and window frame? You know what I would do is I would go to Production Crate, and I would use their Production Crate stock footage. They have some great window frame stuff, and of course Action VFX does too, but Production Crate actually has some free ones. There is a link in the description below to Production Crate and to Action VFX, by the way. Both of them are in there, right? And as 4K here, Terry says, Action VFX has some great overlays that go around a door and up a wall. So does Production Crate as well. And of course, you can always use Blender to make your own. It can be done in HitFilm. It's not easy to do in HitFilm, but if you had the Pro version, you could certainly use the fire effect and basically build yourself a mat around the window and then have those flames come out of the mat. I have a video coming out soon where I'm going to create, believe it or not, I'm going to create flaming text, but it's going to be in HitFilm Express, not in Pro, and it won't be using the fire effect. It will be using some other effects. So Spider Hank likes it. Oh, do me a favor and like this video too, if you don't mind. That would be just peachy wonderful. Let me come back over to my hole in the ground here. You can play around with other things. This was a basic example, right? But the marble effect, if you did do something completely different, it will create a different look. And of course, under the parallax, you can always increase or decrease, that amount. If you invert it, then you're going to get a completely different feel, right? Because it's going to basically send down the lighter side, right? I can play around with the tinting, like I said. If you did this with lightning bolts across, then it would look like they're cracking, going along. And if you use the lightning to sort of extend along the extension of the lightning, that works really well too. So let me get rid of your thing there. Yeah, that's right. Pro has a nice little fire effect to it. But you could, what you would want to do is, wait a minute. Hello. What you would want to do is you'd want to add not just the fire effect, but also heat distortions and other kinds of displacements around it. You'd want to add the smoke effects, to really sell that, right? That's really the key, and is getting that thing sold to make it look like it really is in there. Plus, of course, you'd want, the areas around to be burnt, right? And you'd want light shining, especially if it was a darker atmosphere to begin with. So there's a lot of things that go into it to make it really sell. Mike Miller one time told me that, you spend about half your time getting 90% there, and then you spend the other half getting another 5%, to 95%. You never really quite get to 100% because you just, none of us are perfect on it, but it's easy to get the first 90%, and then that last extra bit is what sells it and really makes it look real. And that's the difference between pro and amateur. That's the difference between what you see in Hollywood and what you see in what I do and what most people do. It's good, but it's not like completely perfect and real and that sort of thing. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to answer them. If you have any questions at all, hey, look, I'm wearing, this is for Bill. Bill, I find your lack of faith disturbing. I'm just going to say right there, buddy. Star Wars trailer came out this week. I'm excited. Got to see that. Really enjoyed that. Hey, Farrah Films is in the house. Good to have you, sir. Glad you made it. We're just talking about different effects that you can do in HitFilm. I created this very, very simple and fairly easy to make crater. Wait a minute. Let me reset the fractal noise, and then let me change it back to marble. I found that the marble one works the best. What do you guys think? That's pretty sweet. You know what I mean? Get that back to about 50. Those are, you're adding an effect here without any other kind of thing. So that was my little play thing that I was working around on today. And I'm delighted to say that it actually comes out pretty good. Thank you very much. I know. Looking good. Thank you. How many of you guys have seen the new trailer? Does it look exciting to you? I have an announcement that I'm going to be making. I have completed a master course in HitFilm. I have completed a master course in HitFilm, and I am uploading it currently to Udemy. So I will be letting you guys know. It is about, I want to say, 2.5, 3.5 hours, something like that. Complete beginner's course from beginning to end. I've been working on it for months and months. In fact, I started working on it when HitFilm 12 came out, and then they redesigned the UI, and I had to start all over again because the UI changed, and I have now finished it. So I am in the process of uploading it. Udemy has already given us the green light to go ahead with it. And so I'm going to be sharing out coupon links and stuff like that. So I'll appreciate it if everybody shares that out. It should hopefully be out soon. Just depends on how long it takes them to approve the whole course and go through it and everything like that. So plasma flow coming out of that crater would look awesome. Satellite-based weapon of destruction. I like it. I like it. You've seen the trailer, Farrah Films. That's awesome. Greg, you get in. Hey, Greg, in the house. In the house. Hey, dogs. And hey, Courtney, too. Still slugging along on your challenge. Oh, that's a good question. Greg, how's the skeleton challenge going? I can actually, while you're answering that, let me do one thing. I just snuck this in, and that is if I search for a missile smoke effect, whoops, if I can find the missile smoke effect, and I drop it here, you can see the missile smoke is there. If I back it up, oh, that's the wrong missile smoke. I want the free one. I want the free one. Here we go. If I back up the missile smoke a little bit, I'm basically just backing it up so that it, we can see it in the, and then I'll scale it up a bit, I want it to be fairly large, maybe down somewhat. Okay, we'll put it above the plane. All right, and then, the idea being, it's maybe a little bit too, all right. Now what I want to do is, hold on for a second, because I'll get my handy dandy freehand mask tool out here, and I'm just going to mask it. Uh-oh, I think the masking, have you guys had any issues with this masking tool doing this kind of stuff here? I have. This has been something that I've struggled with for a while here, and I just don't know what the heck is going on, but I'll just do it this way. Maybe make a few adjustments here, like this. Turn it back on. All right, now it's a little bit thick. Maybe I'll take the smoke down some, right? All right, but the idea would be, I would have to feather the mask maybe a little bit. Where's my mask? Here we go. Shape and feather just a little bit. All right, so then, right, what I would do is it's sort of, and now I have the smoke coming out of there, right? Yeah, that looks okay, doesn't it? That's not too shabby. Oh, I like it. Oh, that's pretty good, right? Yeah, and so, I might push that back just a little bit because I don't necessarily want it coming out until after the hole has appeared. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, just as that hole starts to appear, I think that's pretty much it. So let me come on back over here. All right, let's see here. Hold on, I gotta look here. Greg. Snipe Limb Films, good to have you, sir. Glad you're here. And Greg, I got the crawl down with the skeleton with the particle effects is eluding me. We'll figure it out around Christmas. Yeah, around next Thanksgiving, right? That's how it works. Oh, yeah, that does look good. Thank you. That's the missile smoke. The cool part about that is it's all free. I mean, that's the free software, and there's nothing in there that isn't that you have to pay for, and that's a remarkable thing. It's a remarkable thing. So use the quick smoke fire to make that little test, and you can, yeah, absolutely. I just picked out the missile smoke because, have you guys had issues with the mask? I've had issues with the mask in HitFilm 13, marking in the wrong place. And then I have to really, make some adjustments to it. It seems to adjust fine. It's just when I first draw that mask. Isn't that strange? Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it. It is a cool, quick little effect. I put it together just in case there was no questions, which, you guys don't need any questions, I guess. You guys all know what you're doing. Yeah, but I think that actually isn't too shabby. I kind of like it. I might just have to keep that one, at least as a sample. Maybe I'll do a full video on that, sort of a thing, and get it to, maybe do a little bit more on it. But all in all, I think that that's a pretty cool little sort of crater effect. Remember when Action VFX came out? Action VFX came out with their, their cracking, and I did a whole series of tutorials on that. And those were really cool, but it got me thinking, There's got to be a way to do it. And I remember when Mike Miller did the wave, the water effect, near the bridge, and he showed how to use the parallax effect to put etch, letters into the water, basically. And I thought, gosh, this has got to be pretty simple to use a fractal noise and be able to do it. And there you go. There you go. Tried to mask myself into the footage of John Lennon like Forrest Gump. That's a lot of masking. Yeah, I would suggest a green screen for something like that. Wait a minute. No issues with the masking. That's good to hear. Blender. Yeah, and I've been actually working extensively with Blender myself too, and I don't blame you. The new Blender is really, really cool. So maybe we ought to get together and do a live stream, you and me, on Blender. Would that be cool? Maybe we'll get Frank in here because Frank knows a few things about Blender. Just kidding, Frank. Just kidding. Well, it's been 21 minutes. So if we don't have any other questions, I'll be delighted to wrap it up. Like I said, I am working on getting the roundtable discussion. I have people who are interested here in the United States, as well as in Europe, as well as in Africa. And so I want to put it at a time when everybody can be involved. If I can get 4 or 5 different people hanging out, boy, that'd really be fun. And I have some very good people who are sitting here in the chat right now are interested in being in it. So plus some people who are sleeping right now because they're in Europe and stuff like that. So let me see. What's this maybe stuff? No, we'll get it done. We'll make those kinds of things happen. So I appreciate everybody being here. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody next time. Thanks for being here.